Bum, bum, bum. All right, doing it live. All right. I have rearranged some stuff. So I think I've got the camera that's actually looking at me in a little better spot. All the things that I definitely should do while I'm not streaming. But I feel like this is, because I can really actually know, like, hey, that's how it looks. Ba-ba-da-da-dee-dee-doo. Got a whole bunch of stuff I gotta move around. So I'm trying to do some cleaning. It's getting there. Gonna push it down. Yeah, my tweeter over there for some reason. Possum. Hello, Mr. Redwood. I'm not a diddler. Skeleton. What? Mr. Redwood, I'm not a diddler skeleton. I am not a diddler. That is very true. That is very true. There is no clearer way to make you sound like a diddler than by talking about how you're not a diddler. I'm not a diddler. I'm not. Big Always Sunny. Hey, Margo. Hey, you want to come down and be on the stream? But not diddler. Good morning, Margo. Possum's on, Margo. Margo. Possum, but she came downstairs. She's coming. She says, oh, you didn't tell me Possum was here. Hi. We're getting ready to start hobbying. You're missing it. You're coming. Okay, would you like to sit in the big person chair? You can sit up there while I clean. Just gotta straighten up a little bit here, Margo. I was trying to clean up my area and get everything more organized, and I didn't do anywhere near as much as I thought I would yesterday, did I, Margo? Probably because somebody is distracting and they like to scream at me all the time, whether on or off stream. Right, Margo? Girl, you hop down. She's just like, all right, where are we putting this stuff? So, we got the skeleton coming. Hey, I gotta turn my lights on. Oh no! Oh, that was the dumbest place I could have put that stuff. All right, great streaming quality. Everyone has their niche. Can't falter for excelling at hers. That is very true. Margo sees an opening, and she takes it. She knows. She says, "Yeah, she's a businesswoman. That is part of her lore. Always has been. She knows how to give the people what they want in exchange for the money." I know. I was telling them. You want back on the chair, or do you want to stay off the chair? You say, I'm going to sit there eventually, but I figure you can hang out there. How this pig that lights up? Let's pretty silly. I don't ever see myself using it because it's very silly, and also it's not shaped like a pick I would ever use. But I can't really bring myself to throw it away because it's just kind of silly. And every now and then I like keeping it on my desk and bumping into it, and then it just lights up really bright green. I'm like, what the heck? Oh yeah. So I do that a good bit. Okay, Princess, come back if you want to. Red. Yeah, I also knocked a big old pile of like resin support trimmings off of my desk, or out of the floor this morning. So I've got to clean that up. So far, desk is a little cleaner. I made progress. I need to figure out a way to change the camera or have third camera and be like, hey, blah blah blah. But I removed my drills from this goofy thing because this was it seemed like a really good idea to be like, oh, I can, clamp it on my desk and then just have my drills wherever I need them. But then they start to kind of bend over with the weight. And I've got way too many other little arms and stuff around my desk now. Like I didn't have as many arms that are holding cameras and lights and microphones a month ago. So it's definitely, I need less things in my face. So I got those mounted on the side here. So I can just grab them. But you can't see them. Hey, let me. That's dumb. I might do it anyway, though. Maybe. Yeah. Not a very important thing to show you, but that's one thing that I did this weekend to get the desk a little bit better set up. Yeah, just trying to do more cable organizing because I had cables and stuff everywhere. So, okay. With all that said, I guess I could actually start doing some hobby instead of just cleaning. I also got some new paint. I was very excited about it, specifically for this guy. From Procryl. I've not messed around with these, but I love every other color that I've gotten from them. So went to my local hobby shop yesterday and picked up transparent yellow, transparent blue, transparent orange, and transparent purple. I feel like after just playing with the flesh wash that they have, which is like really kind of like Reichland shade that dries a lot faster, in my experience. I really liked that. And then transparent white is one of my favorites. I keep going to try and find some more transparent red, but they are still out, or I would have gotten more. I just have a little bit left. And by a little bit, I mean like half a bottle. But I don't want to use it all because I know it's really solid. And I also know it's not time to use it. That's another part. Okay, so it is currently 6:55 and all is well. The next step, I think, for my hobby desk is I've got all my tools up here, and that is helpful because I can see them. But I think the tools need to be, not all of them, but I think this is good for some of the stuff. I don't know. I think I might be better off having almost the weird stuff I use to make stuff on the wall and the tools in the desk. I don't know. I'm trying to figure out what works best for my flow. And I think that at the end of the day, it's just I'm gonna have to get in the habit of being like, oh yeah, while I was working, it would have been helpful if I had blank over there. So, and that's kind of like where the whole thing came from with these. Same thing. I still need to. I was looking at someone else's hobby desk tips on how they organize their stuff, which I realize is kind of crazy. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like you can pick up tips from friends and whatnot. All kinds of fun things. But they were suggesting, I'm not gonna remember what they're called, but this little metal clip with a wheel in the middle, and that is they use them to keep cables or cords in line when you're pulling them. And he had them on his airbrush hoses so that they would feed onto his desk like easy, and then when he would put them back, they would stay in line to keep them from getting tangled up. And I might end up looking more into that, because that's kind of what I wanted to do with these drills, because I use them so often. But their cords are very tangled, or at least one of them is, because it's newer. That one's the new one I just got. I have two. I use them a lot. Might make a video going over tools at some point, if that is anything that anyone is interested in. Just because I love tools, and I've got a lot of tools, but I also don't want to make anyone ever feel like we need to buy something and be like, oh man, this thing sucks, because I've done that. There are too many things that I have spent way too much money on that I would never buy again. God hand, I'm looking at you like directly. Tamia, people love gear videos. Yeah, no, I've got, so I think I even threw them away. I don't think I have them anymore. Yeah, I threw them away. Like, they are the only, man, that's depressing as shit. Yeah, I had a pair of God hands, and they are, like, as soon as like they break, they're broken, and you don't get to use them anymore. Like, they're such a niche tool that it's not worth even half the money. In my opinion, I feel like I have a very valid opinion. There's a couple hundred Gundams in that case, and a couple thousand models in this room. But I think, I mean, they absolutely are a, this is my rant. And I'm not just like, this is my beef with God Hand. It's just more of a, I don't like anyone that, like, I feel kind of has predatory, like, tendencies from, like, a company, from people, anything. Like, but God Hand, I've always got the impression that, like, they really try to make you think you need them. And they're just really fragile, like, clippers. Like the Tamiya clippers that I use, like, that's the same, both of these. They are the 17G, 17G. It's just the same, the side cutter, Tamiya side cutter. And they have redone them. This says SU2. Yeah, these are the same one. I evolved at different times from the satanic Walmart, Amazon. It's not satanic. That's a good way. It's a good thing. Satanism's good. Real Satanism. Yeah, Amazon's actually the absolute worst. They're like intentionally bad, as opposed to trying to fix things. Waking up. People love your videos. But yeah, no, I love talking about things that I like and that are useful. So yeah, these are my favorite. When they break, I will buy another pair. And when those break, I will buy another pair. I have two pairs, both of them. Again, I know who I am. These are my nice ones, so I keep the little God hand clippers, like, kind of cover on there, so I don't drop them. Because yeah, when you drop them, that's how clippers break. That's how I break all of mine. Except for I might have filed it out at one point. Nope, I didn't. So there is a hole, like, in the very center of this, and it's right after Adam I was like, oh no, they're my favorite clippers. Which Adam does like Godhand, and I think Eric does too. The wires, and they do have. If you're really trying to cut it as close as possible, so you don't have to go over it with a hobby knife, they do just as good of a job as to me, but not twice the price worth, in my opinion. Uh, so I would never recommend a Godhand product personally, just because I think you're paying for the name. Like, and I'm a guy who doesn't really typically mind to pay for a name. I've got a couple Gibsons. I like wearing Gucci glasses, but that's only because my work it's just as cheap for me to get Gucci as it is for me to get anything else. And after like getting brands that I've never heard of in my entire life for the same price, I'm just like, I've earned it. I'm going to get Gucci now. So that's the thing to keep in mind. If I get a different job, I no longer get good deals on Gucci glasses. And these cones are not going in the trash. They are going up in here. Oh no. Yeah, I'm not trying to dunk on Godhand. I just was disappointed with the price that I paid for them. Mr. Ritz. Ow! I'm not very fancy. These are the only thing fancy about me. I'm a trash boy, as everyone knows. But no, I like certain things, and I like when I get what I pay for. I just didn't think that I got what I paid for with the Godhand clippers. As soon as they broke, it was just like, I guess they just go in the trash now. I did get to keep the little cover for my Tamiyas, so that's kind of a positive, but not really what you buy them for. But other than that, they just do basic clipping. If you don't build Gundam models, definitely stay away from them because they are not made for cutting like Games Workshop style plastic. It absolutely will break them. Very, very thin, very, very flimsy blades. Not flimsy. Fine. That's a better term. But yeah, that's the only pair of like cutters I've ever bought that I was like, I regret that. And I have a lot. And I've bought a lot that are very, I know I have used these Zerons. I think they were pricier, but they are for photo etch. And they are so sharp. Really sharp. Here's a prime example. If you were like, oh yeah, for the same price, like the Micro Mark is, it's just a completely different like quality. Like you're not paying for, like those came in. I don't have the bag over here still, but they came in this like 4 clear bag. It just has little buttons that you pop them open. It doesn't have like the crazy packaging that Godhand comes in. So it's just, that's the other part of it. It's just so much of like branding. That's where the money actually goes into, is brand. And I think that's dumb, personally. You need to do it just enough to where people know that you exist as a company, and then after that, your product should kind of pay for itself, in my opinion. Oh man, I'm just ranting like an old man. Alone and filled with regret. So let's get to it. It is 7:06. Yeah. That tummy's kind of looking a little gray. I'm sorry, sir, you have gray tum. The gray tum tum. Yep. I'm thinking I'm probably going to be doing some skin tones, because that's kind of what I do all the time on this thing. But I kind of want to play around with that eye. I feel like that might be fun to do today. I think I will. So the first thing that I want to do with it is put some black down, because I have a very set idea for my Emperor's Children's eyes, the actual Legionnaires. I'm wondering if I want to do the same thing here, though. The whole idea with Frustration was initially it started thinking about how so many of the demons that I really like in Aaron Dembski Bowden's books in the Black Library, they go into how the demons were made and the people that they were, or the people that something happened to these people and that action gave birth to this demon. And I always loved thinking about that, especially whenever he is introduced a character. It's just like you can tell whenever it's a fully fleshed character. But the demons, I've always thought he's done better than anyone else. He makes them really horrifying things that are other, like, and as opposed to just like hard trope, like lawful evil, which is just always goofy in my opinion. Being arch good or arch evil is always a little too over the top for me. But man, where was I going with that? Talking about tropes. I was talking about tropes. I was talking about the people. So my whole idea with this was the main idea was someone, an overinflated ego. So it's just like I imagine someone whose head's just like swelling to where there's just like an absolute, just like shrunken, just I'm trying to remember the term. It's when you have limbs that have atrophied. Essentially, I was just thinking of having an atrophied body underneath of the very large phallic demonic body that's coming out of its mouth, which is just another of a lot of it's just self-reflection, a lot of metaphors, just living in your own head, and then also, of course, there's a lot of other metaphors going on here. But blind, dumb, deaf, running around, dick first. That's the general message. But the whole thing with the eye comes down to, with my Emperor's Children, I have really the only one that I have painted is Teus as of this moment, and he is in a dreadnought, so you can't really see. But I have really wanted to mess with a Turbo Dork paint that is, it's older. It's one of the older paints. I think they still make it though. But Dark Net, it's essentially, I don't know if can I see that. Brush is clean, Instagram story uploaded, hobby cleaned up, ready to chat again. Hell yeah, awesome. But yeah, it's like a shifting black, green, metallic. Yeah, Dark Net from Turbo Dork. Love Turbo Dork. There, as far as metallics, if it's not a real metal color like gold, silver, copper, if it's not a physical metal that exists in the world, they are my favorite paint. Like for metallics, this is like People Eater. I ranted about how much I love People Eater to the head of Turbo Dork, and talked about how great it is for Emperor's Children. To which he responded with, "That's wonderful news. That's why I made it. I never got to do it." He made his paint company after coming up with the perfect First Children purple, and then no longer gets to paint because he runs a paint company. So, but he was excited. He was a very fun person to talk to. At the old Adepticon last year. Old Adepticon, almost like a beetle shell. Yes, very beetle shell. The thing that it reminds me of the most, and that's why I was really wanting to use it, is it reminds me of. Well, that's not good. It's time for a new brush, I suppose. I don't remember what I was painting in here, but it has absolutely flaked. This was that ink. I'm going to go wash this real quick instead of trying to do it on camera with a little brush and getting black ink all over my hands. But Darknet, it reminds me of the eyes of deep sea fish, which is what I was really wanting it to kind of look like, is so like anglerfish or hatchetfish. Whenever you see them, their eyes are all pupil, and it's just they have very scary eyes. And I wanted my Emperor's Children to almost kind of look like that, like they were so dilated that it's just almost, because really the Emperor's Children, lore wise, that's how they were when they got to Terra. They were not even close to the same things as they were in the beginning. They were just monsters. Love Emperor's Children. So deranged, demented. But yeah, I'm excited to see how the Darknet goes. It's just hanging off my hands. Where's my brush gonna go? There it is. So I'm gonna hit it with just a little bit of primer, and then I'll probably put that over it. I'm gonna paint it with brush with Turbo Dork stuff. I normally would use an airbrush, but with it being on the face that I've already painted, that's not an option. So I'm gonna clean this real quick. Here I am. I'm back. Mongo, you're in your little couch. You're doing such a good job. Yes. Yeah. Got a nice little clean. I'm gonna go ahead and cover up my wet palette because I don't even know why I got it out. I haven't used it yet. Sometimes you just like drying it up, I guess. Yeah, I think I need the glue in one area. My tools here. That's, I think, where I was going. I think I need my sculpting tools, brushes on the right, blades maybe. That way I can reach over there and get them and not have to reach over all these cameras. That's the ticket. Maybe. Got a nice standard. Like this one. The standard brush. for when you don't want anything extra. You're not going to be doing anything great. It's just standard stuff. I really don't have any preference. I just kind of go for this one sometimes. It's probably honestly about on its last legs. I'm not the best with my brushes, and especially when it comes to painting on these kinds of things, just because they are just so... I don't recall if you've mentioned your thoughts on the Empress Children models. I have not. There are definitely things that I like, and there's definitely things I don't. I think my thoughts on Games Workshop's Chaos models as a whole, I think they're the same issues that I have always had, and that's that so much of Chaos is just, it needs to be, I don't know, I think it just depends how realistic and what you're going for with the models. I think you could definitely take all of them and make something really cool. I think that they definitely have gotten, and I kind of got in a discussion with someone on Reddit about mold lines. Games Workshop has gotten a lot better about mold lines, I will say that. But they were the worst. But with that said, the new Emperor Children models, I think you could definitely do a lot of stuff with them. I think it's always good to have more Slaanesh pieces, parts. But overall, I'm not going to buy any. Personally. But that's again just because. Now, I might, if there was like a request for people wanting to see like conversions or stuff like that, I might dabble with that kind of stuff. That might be something fun to limit myself to a kit as opposed to just kind of building whatever I feel like. But I don't know what they could have made that I would have been like, oh my gosh, I love this. I've got to go out and buy it. I like it better than what they had. It's better than what they had. Still not my Slaanesh. But again, we're never going to get that, which is probably for the best for everybody. But I need to put black primer on that eye. But yeah, no, I have not. I guess I should sit down and look closer at the models and develop an actual opinion, as opposed to just, I don't really like them. But the ones that I've seen, I was excited that they were making Slaanesh models, just because it is the ugly stepchild of the Chaos Gods for certain. Just a little black. Here's a little primer in your eye. You spooky demon. Beep, 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 beep. And again, because it's just primer, I'm not really trying to be too painterly about this. I'm just putting black into this eye hole area. And the only reason that I'm putting black primer over this, just to clarify, is for the dark net. It does. What do you normally build your AC out of? I know you had some 3D printed pauldrons. Do you mix those standard kits or do you full 2D? So, I guess I should. I don't think I've gotten any of my first children out on the stream, which it is 7:21. I got 20 minutes. I don't see this being dry enough to switch to dark net, so I could definitely get some of those out and kind of show them if you would like to see them. A lot of them. So my Emperor's Children, it's hard to clarify. Like, the vast majority are 3D printed because they are made from Fummelfinger or Walter Jungen. I believe that's the pronunciation. I'm thinking it's gonna look good whenever I get a real nasty milky white. I definitely want the eye to look like it's collapsed, but also kind of like jelly. And then that I'm gonna put clear. We're gonna be coating the eye to make it look like it's built up and it's round and it's soft. It's gonna be really bad, really awful. I will get my British children. So I started. That's a whole big thing. I started playing like the game 40K again with an old friend of mine that I went to high school with when he got into the hobby. When I'd always been in since high school, but he recently got in like maybe 5, 6, 7 years ago. I don't know. Anywho, so I started playing with him, and I was like, cool, I'll play Black Templar. So I started a shit scale, or like the old little, not Primaris, Space Marines. And I was just trying to make a really nostalgic Black Templar army. And I did that for a while, and it's just like, man, I cannot make myself put together an entire army of Marines that they just don't look right to me. So very quickly, I tried to do the whole like Anvils of Conor thing, where I, cut legs and you like true scale them. So I did that for a while, which was insane, huge waste of time. Ended up scrapping all of that, and just getting a bunch of Primaris, and then I converted a bunch of Primaris. So from there, I went to making a Black Legion army, which this is tied in because that's where the ones that I think are the best, like Cacophony, are from. They're from these. Like, I absolutely love Bolter Jürgen, Hummelfinger's Prince. Again, like, that guy just has like a get my money for the rest of my life. I love his models. They are very well designed. They're just great. But the Emperor's Children, my favorite ones are my Cacophony, and they are all based on Primaris conversions. These are this is where I am with my Black Legion because of who I am. I get upset and I stop working on something and I change my entire goal, but I'm very happy with all of these. I just need to give a shit and finish them. But this was the Dreadnought for my Black Legion, and his legs definitely, I think I would want to fix them. I've multiple times switched what he looked like. I'm sure I can find some older pictures, but my Primaris, let me see if you can. I bought 4 boxes of Dark Imperium, and I tried to remove all the iconography from the Primaris to make them not be Primaris, and then I went about sculpting heads, a bunch of different little things that I did to try and get them to look really good. My favorite is, I think, up here. Yeah. I don't know if I ever posted this guy or not, but I was very pleased with, especially his little arm. Had a lot of wires. There's a lot of gears. But that was one that I was really happy with. Also, like his bolter. I wanted it to be kind of a reference to, I want to say it is the Winchester 870, but it was one of the very first trench shotguns in World War One. But I am a huge World War One buff. I always have been. So that's another reason I think Trench Crusade has kind of put me off, is that I have always been obsessed with World War One, and it's just, there's so many things I think with Trench Crusade that I'm like, I think I gotta come up with a cooler thing. But it's supposed to be a reference to the Winchester 870 because it had a shroud over the top of it. But the Winchester 870 was a really, really, really scary firearm because, and Germany actually, like, wanted it to become a war crime to use them because they were called trench rooms, but they were made without a disconnect uh, in it, which is a horrifying thing. Essentially, that means you can hold down the trigger, and every time you rack it, it just fires. Like there's nothing to keep it from firing, which is so unsafe. But the doughboys, allies in World War One would essentially take those and then jump into a trench and just turn people into mulch. And Germany was like, hey, that's pretty much messed up. We should make those a war crime. So, shotguns. But anywho, that was a nod to the heat sink or the heat shield that is on top of an 870, and then I made the barrel smaller. I kind of wanted to make it look like a bolter that was for trench warfare. And that was a big thing. Initially, I kind of wanted to make a chapter that was very brutal and just they weren't constantly getting new equipment. It was just like they had to like be out there in these like trenches, like fixing their stuff, just long war kind of shit. And that kind of is what led to, well, if you don't want to do good guys, you could just have that and just play any Chaos Legion or Renegade chapter because they are all poor. they all have no money. And then with my Black Legion, I also had a conversion of Abaddon that was for my HQ, who had a really dope jump pack, but then they made it where you couldn't use jump packs. His head was based on one of my favorite Adrian Smith works in the 3.5 Codex, the Chosen of Abaddon. There is a really, really cool champion that has this big halberd, and he has these demonic horns coming out of his head, and then a mask, but the mask is like in front of the horns, so you can tell that it's not part of the mask, that the horns are his, and that I wanted that to be an influence on him. So I'll put these back in here, and I'm aware that they're just like, oh, I did put a lot of work in them, but it's just like the things that'll fall off, I can fix. I think that's another big part of like that guy doesn't go together. I definitely, until they are done, I don't treat them like they're like my babies, just because things get broken all the time. And then it's just a quick little fix. Usually. So this is Lord Arius. He is a dramaturge. So essentially, he was the delegatus, the impromptu commander for my group, for the Zone Mortalis specifically. Let me see. Yeah, no, his face is so gnarly, and I've always been a really big fan of this model. But yeah, his little hooks in his face. This is a head. So a lot of this, Fummelfinger he has not made any Tartaros yet. So this is someone else's Tartaros sculpt that I found, and then I took a bunch of other STLs and I merged them. So like this angel's face, like that actually doesn't mirror. The angel's face is separate. That was supposed to be his like personal heraldry. It's this angelic face, these wings kind of going around it with a single tear. And then Teus on his pauldron, his hands, he has a woman crying. She has like that in her eyes. They're all covered in like detail from like sculptures and other things that I found that I just co-meshed into it. But I'll get those. My rant about the cacophony, my favorite ones, and they are, half of them are just 3D printed, and I think it's very clear that they're not of the same level. I love his work, but I do think that like my Primaris conversions are better models, but they also take a lot longer to make. There's so much more work that goes into them, but one takes like printing, and it's just good. But there's also a big difference between just printing something and, I mean, I can't even print out just regular thumb finger, like, models without wanting to put more bits all over them. But I'll grab my brush shield. I'm not talking enough. Let's see. $7.32. I picked this up at Adepticon last year. So there's your boy, Teus, the poet. And that purple. I don't know. It's the pictures of Teus online don't do him justice. In person, he's very, very bright purple, but the parts that aren't bright are so nasty. But yeah, his pauldrons have a woman crying, like covering her face with her hands. But then they're also covered in gore. So I've always really, really liked this one. I really like this model. Really like that character. Every time we would play, he was always just so fun. So fun in like the scariest way possible. Just smashing his way down corridors, and there's just something about Zone Mortalis that I really love. Man, I've got to remember how this slides. How that slides. So, what is even this? It's just a bunch of magnets. Okay, the whole thing comes out. So here is a magnet tray. You got a whole bunch of little boys I need to paint on here. Oh yeah, my big rhino. Big rhino. You'll get caught up in the big rhino. Yeah, man, that big old dig beam could just like smash right into that. That's a fun. Yeah, so one of the last things I did before I stopped kind of playing 30K with that group was I started working on a true scale rhino. So that's what this is. And I think that's just a Spartan. But I think I also was working, yeah, another true scale rhino and a bunch of Margot hair. Actually, that might be wife hair. Wife hair is also good. It's not as soft as Margot hair though. Okay, so that's everyone in here. These back. I kind of just had the tanks and everything in there to get them out of the floor, I think. So, let's take a look at these boys. Yeah, no, the cacophony are so fucking cool. These cacophony that I made are really fucking cool. Yeah, no, I haven't looked at these in so long. It's so fucking rad. Like, so yeah, these are my cacophony. They are made out of Tartaros. These are Tartaros, forgeable Tartaros legs that were cut, and then I made them larger to try and be in line with Primaris. And then the bodies are from Bloodbound, whatever the Khorne faction that came out with the Sigmarines. Whenever those came out, that's what it's. Whatever was in the other side of that box set. The guys that had the actual armor, like Khorne Knights, but that's what that body is. And then the arms, those are Goliaths. A lot of guitar cable. Oh yeah. So I forgot, they're so fucking cool. These are definitely the coolest models I think I've made. Of course, they've got scalps, lots of nails holding scalps down. All of them have manacles and chains, and I forgot that the cacophony. I'm fuck, these are so cool. Not to be over here jerking my own chain, but like I have not looked at these, and I forgot how awesome I made my cacophony. So the backpacks, like the weapons, have a bunch of like pistons that are like modeled after like instruments, and tubes, but then they also have like body parts and corpses. So like I forgot that I was really wanting to make the kind of nightmare weapons that are described in Fulgrim. So that's, and then the backpacks, of course, you know, the wiggly organic like tubes with the speakers, and then you can see like these legs. Those are some the gray plastic, the lighter kind of plastic. Those are going to be 3D printed, and then the darker is actual GW plastic. But so there is a lot of both, and then it's got some goofy little faces. They look really silly right now. They will not look silly at all when they're done. That's pretty much was me getting ready to start working on their faces with putting those pieces of paper on there. There's another of my cacophony. Yeah, I love their backpacks. I forgot all about a bunch of the stuff I did on these guys. Man, yeah. So these are little nails going into PCB pins. So that is when I was talking about making, you know, weird stuff into things. That's definitely, I think, a really big part of making hyper detailed conversions is recognizing when you can use something and scaling it properly. But I think I'm really happy with them. The more I look at them, oh yeah, and then also all the skeletons are various sizes because I wanted to make it very clear that they're not just grabbing men or space marines. This is the orchestrator, the like squad leader. Let's see if I can do it. But yeah, he's got his face peeled off. All of them have some insane thing that they've done to themselves. This one I really like. I really like the helmet. That was just one of the Death Guard helmets. But then I've got a bunch. I've got a whole box of little heads that I like to sculpt heads to have heads ready. But I definitely, man, this is getting me too pumped. I don't remember. It's one of these guys. One of these three had some really good lore. Essentially, I wanted to come up with a story for every one of these guys. But there's one that I remember, his head is in you can't see his head. And it's because one of the last things that he did was he had his, like, essentially skull. He had his skull painted by one of, like, the greatest artists on their ship. And then, essentially, after it was finished, like, he looked at it, he was just like, yes. And then he closed it, so it's like only his eyes have seen it, and then he killed the artist. So it's just like, he's the only one who has seen this, like, master work that is actually done on his skull while he was, like, essentially just had it, like, flayed. They're all lovely. These are definitely some very special models. Thank you so much, Possum. No, this makes me really want to get back to working on them, and I would love to go over more and show more detail. Lots of barbed wire, lots of little hooks, lots of scalps and hairs. But man, I'm excited. This has got me all. I haven't looked at these in a hot minute. I've just been working on demons. But I'm going to go make coffee. Have yourself a wonderful day. Have a wonderful rest. Thank you for tuning in, Possum. Love to also hear the little bit. I will. Man, I need to focus and write down some more. I need to finish painting them. I need to finish working on stuff. I don't know. I think I get pulled in so many directions. Just deciding what I want to work on is really what I need to do. But you have a good one. Take care. I will catch you on the flippity. See you all tomorrow. Bye.